This is Governor Bobber. I like good day doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Go!
You're watching Dr. Politics.
Good Friday, everyone. It is Friday, last Friday in the month of July. We're
Month's
almost
going by
summer.
fast.
I know summer's winding down.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of a lot of fun stuff happening. August is when Washington goes on vacation. That means the roads are not as heavily trafficked. It's
Plus, I think August will cool down a bit. It's been a hot July, but I think August, being here, it seems to me that August is a little bit better than July in terms of heat.
August, I don't know. It depends. Remember, last August was very hot too.
Yeah, I was just thinking that because towards the end of August, I think it starts to cool down a bit. That's why I'm just factoring in August.
Yeah, like September. But remember, about 4 years ago, we had one of the hottest Septembers in memory.
Yeah.
And then also last year was actually one of our cooler Septembers.
Yeah.
So is it global warming? I seriously doubt it.
I don't know. As I was saying, for me, I grew up here in Northern Virginia, and it doesn't seem any different to me. I mean, it just seems about as hot. I was out today cutting the lawn in this heat, and I was sweating pretty good. I came in, but it just, I don't know, it seems to me, I don't really notice that much of a difference, really. I know that's not scientific, that's anecdotal, but I don't notice much of a difference.
Yeah. And, it's like this,
I felt hotter. Let me put it this way. I felt it hotter.
Well, I mean, it is hotter. Okay, I mean, the heat index was 110 today. Okay, it was warm.
Yeah.
But it's summer in Washington. We always get this hot. And the actual temperature was in the 90s. It wasn't. The heat index took. It's kind of like the wind chill takes.
Right. Yeah.
And excuse me. And I think it's like, the problem is the whole heat index, and everyone's like, panicking how hot it is. I got friends in Arizona who, where it's been 114 and it's going to be down to like 108, 109. And they go, oh, that's normal.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't think we are at the point where it's like insanely hot, frankly. It's going to cool down this weekend. Next week's supposed to be nicer. It's cooling down next week in the 80s, and we call that a cool down. But
yeah,
it is. It's not like for this to be really an alarm bell type event. We'd have to be like this for weeks on end, frankly. And it's fine the way it is, frankly. We're not, the weather is fine. It's not going insane, And, it gets hot in the summer. That's what the people don't understand. It gets hot.
Yeah.
It gets hot in Texas. Yeah.
Well, I remember once flying into Arizona, and I'm in the East Coast. I'm not used to hearing these type of temperatures, but when we flew in, I didn't know if I heard that wrong or not, but the pilot says it's like 100, like some high number, like 114 or 110.
Yeah.
And I told the stewardess, I'm like, did I hear that right? And she, as matter of factly as can be, told me, oh, don't worry, it's a dry heat.
Yeah.
So it's no big deal. So, but I was thinking, man, that's hot. But
yeah,
I guess that's the way.
I actually was hoping we had the RNC convention was going to be in Phoenix this year.
Yeah.
Instead of next year, I should say, instead of Milwaukee. But Milwaukee's a nice town.
Yeah, I guess their figure Milwaukee would be good. See, it's different when I was young. The conventions, I don't think it was as strategic as it is today. I think there you're going to a nice place, and the country wasn't divided like it is today regionally.
Yeah.
So you would go to, George W. Bush had his at Madison Square Garden in New York.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then other days, Barry Gold.
We also were in Philadelphia, too.
Hmm.
2000, it was Philadelphia.
That's right.
And 04, we were in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
For Reagan, we were in New Orleans. And we were in California. For 96, we were in San Diego.
That's right. That's right.
We've had the convention. There's only a few places that can actually accommodate, the large number of people, the influx of people that come into town.
Yeah, that's true.
Minnesota, which I thought was probably one of the worst convention locations.
Yeah, I guess that was a pure. I assume that was purely a regional choice. Hey, maybe we can win Minnesota.
It's like that was like. Was that the year Tim Pawlenty was the governor of Minnesota?
Yeah, maybe that's the reason they did it. Maybe they thought Pawlenty might get the nomination. But
I mean, it's like Tampa. There was not a single elected Republican in Tampa when we had the convention there.
Yeah,
elected Republican in Tampa. I mean, there was a billboard you could see off the interstate when you're driving to Tampa saying, "Welcome Republicans," where there isn't a single elected Republican in the Tampa Bay area.
Yeah. Well, my first convention that I ever went to was 1992, Houston, Texas.
Oh, really?
It was a bad convention because, of course, we lost that year. And when I went, there was a down feeling, because we knew this probably wasn't our year. But I went. That was my first convention, and actually, I think only convention. And I had fun, and that may have been the first time I'd flown on an airplane. I don't think I'd ever
really.
Then I think that was the first time I flew, and I got tickets as a guest from Virginia, from the executive director of the Virginia Party. They were giving out tickets, and we stayed in a cheap dive of a hotel. I forgot the hotel, but it was, how they have buses going to all the area to bring them to the Astrodome. Our hotel was such a dive; it wasn't even on the list, so we had to go to this other hotel.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, Matt Waters and I went to the first convention I went to, and I think it was the first one for him too, was 96 in San Diego.
Oh, that would have been a nice one because it's beautiful, but it was a bad year too.
And we stayed at a Days Inn.
Okay.
And back in 96, they actually had buses going around San Diego.
Yeah.
They're like bus stops. You get on the bus.
Yeah.
And Joyce Terhaz, our late Maryland National Committee woman and state party chair. She was the state party chair then. I needed tickets, Then we got upgraded, and she gave us passes, so we went down where the Maryland delegation was staying, which was at the Travel Lodge in San Diego. And I'm like, Maryland's come a long way from the Travel Lodge. Then I went to the convention in Philadelphia, but I only went there for 2 days in Philly.
Yeah.
Then skipped Minnesota, skipped New York, and then I went to Tampa.
Yeah.
And then I was a delegate to the 2016 convention.
Okay, good.
And we got to get on the floor and all that.
And that was in Ohio, right?
Yep, Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
It was a nice, pleasant drive. Went out there, drove through Youngstown, and contrary to what Bruce Springsteen sings about, it's not a bad town.
Yeah.
I don't see scores of homeless people. I didn't see any of them.
Yeah, my aunt was from Youngstown, and the famous boxer Ray Boom Boom Mancini was from Youngstown.
Oh, really? Okay, I did not know that. Yeah.
And also Jim Trafficant. Remember Jim Trafficant?
Yes, Jim Trafficant. Jim Trafficant.
Well, late now. I guess he's passed.
Has he passed? I thought he was still in jail.
I think he passed away, sadly.
Oh, okay.
But I liked him. I met him at NET. He was at NET.
Yeah, I know. He used to be on Paul's show a lot, and Paul's show he did. Yeah. And he had the crazy hair. Crazy hair. Which
I discovered later was a wig, although I don't know how I didn't notice it. I don't know how I didn't notice that was a toupee, but I remember once I was in the green room entertaining him. He had the prettiest, one of his legislative assistants would always come with him. Very pretty lady. Well, anyway, I was with Trafficant in the green room and talking to him. And then we were told, okay, it's time to air. Let's go. So Trafficant gets up and he goes first, and I'm behind him. And halfway down the hall, Trafficant stops, turns around and says, "Come on, David." And he reaches around and he puts his arm around me. And he's kind of like leaning over into me, but he's taller than me. So we're walking. It's kind of awkward as we're walking down the hall.
Yeah.
He's got his arm on me.
And there's a narrow hallways too. It's not like they're like.
Yeah. So a very a good guy. And you know who else, now that I think about it, was a guest on NET who wasn't necessarily associated with the right? God, what was her name? Ben Bradley's wife. What was her name?
Oh, really? I do not remember. I didn't even realize she was on there.
Yeah, she's a very nice lady. She is was famous in her own right, I think, as a journalist. And I remember entertaining her while she's in the green room, and I was telling her about our network and station. And it ordinarily wouldn't be on our sort of side politically, but she was very nice. And anyway,
who else used to come on there was Pat Schultz, who was Ross Perot's running mate.
Yes.
In 96.
I had a show on the Morning View with Pat Choate, and it was such a mismatch. I felt horrible. He was going against some staffer from Max Baucus's office who really
was that Mitchell's in the morning or the other show?
Yeah,
Marian Fogelson.
It came after Mitchell's our show. I mean, in other words, it's the same time slot, but it was a different show.
I think it was mornings or whatever. It was Marian Fogelson and
Major Garrett.
Yeah.
But Choate was on, and they were discussing NAFTA, I guess, at the time. Well, it was such a lopsided debate. And Choate, towards the end, just kind of let up on the guy because he was just hammering him so. But Choate was a very smart guy. Very nice. Yeah. I guess he's still with us. I don't know.
Yeah, he is. I think, yeah.
Just so many years ago, I sometimes wonder, so many years ago,
in other news, we've got, internationally, like we've got, Conservatives lost a special election in Great Britain. They might be in trouble come 2025 when they have their elections. I think, although the Prime Minister is doing a decent job, he's not doing a horrible job,
Yeah.
And he's kind of he's been dealt a bad hand, frankly.
I think the one thing, Conservatives have held on for a lot longer than we may think, but part of that was because of the Labour leader Corbyn. Remember, Corbyn for years was there, and I just don't think he could. I think as long as he was the Labour leader, they weren't coming back to power.
Yes, and also remember Labour also. A lot of them were riding high on Tony Blair.
Yeah.
You remember Tony Blair was he was one of our strongest allies in the war on terror. He was no Margaret Thatcher, but I mean, he was not your typical linguini spined liberal, frankly.
Yeah.
Who pretty much we're just
And I guess the other thing is now you got Rishi as the Prime Minister. But remember, in the case of Liz Truss, that was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in British politics. She was only in office for, 30 days?
Yeah.
I never really understood it. I mean, I think she was a bright person. I'm not saying that, but it's just when I'd seen her in interviews, and I think that there was unfairness to her. I think they should have given her a little more space or time. But, it's hard for me to imagine how she really...
Yeah.
If they thought so little of her, why did they elevate her to be prime minister and head of the party?
And I mean, a lot of people. I know there's what's his name? I forget the guy's name. He's on Breitbart News a lot. He was head of the Brexit movement.
So Nigel Farage.
Yes, he was really taking her to task. He goes, everyone's lauding as she'll be like Margaret Thatcher, and he's like, she won't even be Margaret Thatcher on a bad day. But it's. I think the Conservatives will be able to hold on, frankly.
I hope so, but it just depends. I guess the Labour Party has a better leader at this point, so it's not Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah.
So they may have
And
a
and I tell you, and the big news of this week, Hunter Biden's plea deal got struck
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, that
So
was beautiful.
he might be going to the big house, but I think Joe Biden will pardon him. Frankly,
Yeah, I think they'll probably just amend the deal and then make it so that they'll still
well,
make
the
the
deal
possibility.
says the deal was basically like immunity from future prosecution. Also, it's like so what is in that scope of future prosecution. So if Hunter Biden were to go mow somebody down with his car because he was
No.
high, does he get immunity for that too? You know,
I guess it was worded in such a way as because the government said there's still an open investigation with the Farah thing. And I guess it wasn't clear. And I guess Hunter Biden and his lawyers thought, oh, well, we got a deal. We got immunity for that. But I guess the deal, as it was written, wasn't all that clear.
yeah, and I'm glad the judge struck back. Frankly,
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. I agree. Yeah. I
because
agree.
what many Americans are getting is like you got two sets of rules. One, because you have people that have been accused of the exact same stuff Joe Biden's son Hunter has been, who've
Yeah.
gone to jail. Kanye West, is it Kanye that went to jail, or one of those? There was a rapper that went to jail recently for
Yeah.
exactly the
A few,
same
maybe. I don't know which one.
for the gun possession one, and I want to say it was and it's ridiculous. I mean, this is Democrats taking their no crime, the soft on crime policies on steroids. Frankly,
Yeah.
you've got the plea deal. Honestly, I hope he ends up going to jail. Frankly, because I will tell you this: Joe Biden has made the Nixon Agnew administration
Mm.
look so much better.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, let's impeach Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I mean, they impeached President Trump on fake dossiers and January 6th. And yeah, let's impeach Joe Biden. I
Yeah.
think it's time to impeach him. We might actually I wonder, but I tell you this. You think Joe Manchin would vote for impeachment? You think he'd cross over and vote for impeachment in the Senate?
Maybe, but it still wouldn't get to 2/3, so Biden will be safe. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if they do.
And they've got in all the news is a buzz about another indictment
Yeah.
for President Trump. Expected in a few days. It's like, um, why are you guys ignoring this whole Hunter Biden, Joe Biden influence peddling scheme? Because Spiro Agnew, when he was vice president, on the high side, it was the bribe it wasn't even $20,000. It was like maybe $5,000-6,000, right?
Yeah.
Which no matter how much, any way you split, adjust for inflation and whatnot, it still does not get to $10 million. And if
Yeah.
the
No.
allegations are true, and Joe Biden took 5 million of the 10 million for himself from the Ukrainians, that's really that's very damning, and he should be impeached. He should be removed, run out of town. Frankly,
Yeah.
they did that to President Nixon for. I mean, Watergate looks like a Sunday picnic compared to the Biden administration, or even the Clinton administration, for that matter. You
Yeah.
know,
But you wonder, would Biden? I don't think he'd be. I don't think he'd be competent to stand trial. I don't think.
reason of insanity. I think some of that stuff might be an act.
You think so?
I think it could be an act. It could all be an act. He's acting like a buffoon. You
Yeah.
know.
Maybe. But I just don't. I don't know what questions he could even answer at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me almost not as bad as, but you see Dianne Feinstein the other day.
Yeah,
And
or Mitch McConnell for that matter.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, he just
And,
froze.
I'm not one of those Mitch McConnell haters, but I think he needs to just go away.
Yeah,
Frankly,
it's been a long time. He did a lot of good, but yeah, probably should retire. I mean, the Senate. We have a long history of the Senate of all these folks treating it almost like it's like a nursing home. You go
yes.
there to die. I mean, you had Strom Thurmond at 99, I think it was.
Jesse Helms,
Ted Kennedy, Jesse Helms, Dianne Feinstein.
Hal Heflin.
Yeah. So I don't know that you necessarily need an age limit, but people have got to. I don't know why there's such a
We're making pilots retire,
reluctance
which
to
is
retire.
yeah.
Huh?
I mean, we force pilots to retire at 70, at 60 something, I believe.
Yeah.
I think we need to, I think how you got to take a driver's, how you got to get some states I think require you got to, excuse me, you got to take a driver's test, and you got to take a driver's test.
Yeah, but I mean, it really should have sort of come down. I think maybe to sort of personal responsibility when someone realizes, my time's passed. But and if they don't notice it, you think their family would notice. Hey, yeah, you really should step back. But I don't know. But she's been going downhill for a long while. This isn't anything new. In the case of McConnell, this is, I think, is probably relatively new. I haven't seen him this out of it. I mean, like I said, he's just sort of staring off into space as if
Yeah,
he's lost. Yeah,
his train of thought. Yeah,
and then you see other senators come up to him. Are you okay? You okay? And then they said, let's go back to the office. Let's go back to your office.
Yeah.
But did you see the video? Sometimes they cut it off and they don't show towards the end. But you see the senators behind him starting to get concerned. Like,
yeah,
what's going on here? So,
yeah, Fox had the whole video actually. But here's the thing: these people, I think they should. I'm not for term limits. I don't like age limits, because I think term limits is a hindrance on democracy. Frankly,
yeah,
we would have voted for President Reagan for a third term,
yeah,
and if there are no term limits. I mean, sometimes you have really brilliant people. Like, look at, just as old, Chuck Grassley.
yeah. That's true. But he seems a little more with it then. But yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's got to be, each one of these members, need to think about it. God knows Mitch McConnell's got his golden parachute pension coming, in already, so he doesn't need to worry about stuff like that. Nor does nor does Diane.
She's worth a couple $100 million, I think.
Yeah, that's before her federal pension that she gets,
Mm-hmm.
And I think if a lot of these members, we took away their they just like being in Washington is what it is, and they're always, and that's why a lot of them are very out of touch. A lot of them stopped going back to Jerry Ford. In a documentary, mentioned how when he was in the House, he goes, "We were very much a part-time legislature. We spent half the year in D.C. and the other half in the district." And he goes, "And back in those days, we pack everything up, go to the districts, And he goes, that kept members in Congress in touch with the people. He goes, now we're a full-time legislature. Only time they go to the districts on weekends, and when they go there, they're going to these fundraisers all over the district. So they're not actually meeting with the actual constituencies. They're going to meet with their donors and so on."
Yeah.
And then you got some members like Bill Posey who basically sticks around Washington a lot on weekends. He doesn't go back to Florida.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking why are you not in Florida? Do you like the cold Washington winters?
Yeah. Well, a lot of them stay here after they leave. I see them all the time in McLean.
Tom Daschle.
I see at our the Loudoun County Republican Committee. I usually go to the meetings there with my book, but I see the former congressman from California, John Doolittle. He's always there.
John Doolittle is in Virginia now.
I think it's Doolittle. Yeah, he lives here and is on the county committee. Nice guy, but he stayed here like a lot of these Florida members.
I need to reach out to him. He's okay. Because I met, I think it's Jim Doolittle, by the way.
Maybe you're right. I forget. But he was a former congressman from Northern California, I think.
Yeah, and he was one of the people that shut down the House Bank.
Okay.
And he did shut the House Bank down. And let's see. I'm almost positive I got a picture with him somewhere.
Yeah, nice guy. But he's here, I think. So we got a lot of people here. A lot of the former members are here.
Chris Shays lives on Maryland's Eastern Shore.
Okay. And then
former congressman from Connecticut,
Oh yeah, good guy. And I always used to see Dave McCurdy, a Democrat from Oklahoma. He lives in McLean, or at least
Oh, really?
did
Yeah.
years ago when I
Well,
knew him.
Liz Cheney lives off Swings Mill Road.
Yeah, I used to see her all the time. I went to school with her at McLean High School.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, she was a cheerleader. I do remember that.
Huh.
But she basically grew up here because her father was a congressman from Wyoming, and he lived here really in
It is
McLean.
Jim Doolittle.
Oh, is it okay?
This is the guy?
I believe so. Yeah, yeah. Yep, yep. You got all your pictures already lined up. That's good.
Oh, yeah. I got him on a drive, actually.
Okay. Well,
He has a brother who's a doctor, right?
no, I didn't know.
Yeah, Dr. Doolittle.
Uh oh. Are they related to the Doolittle raid? Remember the Doolittle raid in World War II?
Maybe. Well, let's see. Jimmy Doolittle, who is the dad, was he's been around for a while. He passed away in the 90s,
All right.
but he was a General Harold Doolittle.
Okay.
So very possible, the Doolittle raid. Yeah, very possible.
Well,
Uh,
speaking of old Irish names, you remember at NET Tom Dooley?
yeah, Tom Dooley. He was from Poolesville, Maryland.
Okay, yeah.
He was
My
on the
father
council in
knew.
Poolesville.
My father knew and worked with him. Is he still with us?
I don't know. He was up there back then, so I don't know.
Yeah, I hate to be so negative like that. It's just that so many years ago. I just always now wonder.
Well, it's like, remember, there's a lot of people you wonder, wow,
You,
you Google Jim Doolittle and you get the dad. You don't get much about the congressman.
yeah, he may have been who I was thinking of in the Doolittle raid. But I mean, we lost people who were relatively young. I remember at NET. We had that one guy. I forgot his name, but he was with the production crew, and I think he died maybe there of a heart attack.
And there was a guy that also, I know Diana told me there was a guy that also committed suicide too.
Really, there?
Not there at home, but he used to be on Channel 21.
Okay. Yeah, that's sad.
You know, and
The guy I was thinking of, he was from Buffalo. He was part of the production crew. Kind of heavy set though, and then passed away. But um, what stands out about that is when he was in Buffalo, O.J. Simpson, of course, is famous from Buffalo. He got O.J.'s autograph. But we had, I don't know if it was one. It was one of the. I don't think it was Mark Furman, although I met Mark Furman there. But there was another member from the O.J. Trial, another famous journalist.
Mark Furman, yeah, he spoke at AIM conferences in the past, and he used to be on what was Brad Keena's show. He used to be on there from time to time as well. Next Revolution with Bill Lind
Yeah,
and Brad Keena.
I met Mark Furman there. I guess he's still with us. He went to Idaho, I think.
Yeah, and Brad's now in Illinois.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I talk to him every now and then. Him and I are LinkedIn contact.
And who did he work? He worked on the Hill, I remember, for someone big.
Who, Brad or
Brad?
Bill?
Yeah, he did.
I don't know who he worked for.
Was it Largent? Maybe it was Steve Largent.
Maybe yes, he did. After NET, he went to go work for Steve Largent. Yes,
Yeah,
he was his chief of staff.
yeah. Steve Largent was a good guy, but I get the sense Largent was a taskmaster. Master. I don't think he'd be the easiest guy to work for. He was very driven. This is what my guess.
Yeah. And then he went on to the wireless industry for a while.
Okay.
What do you call it? I think he was CTIA. He was the chairman of. He was. Yeah, I want to say he was with CTIA for a while.
And who was the guy? And I know we're going to turn off all the audience with all this, but one last question. Do you remember the guy? He was the chief engineer, I think, for a while. I can see him, but I don't remember the name. But he's heavy set. I think he was from Maryland or from the area. He was close to Bob Swanner.
Yeah.
But he was a chief engineer. God, what was his name? It's just driving me crazy. I can still see him. But remember,
Yeah.
he's pretty big, heavy guy,
Yeah.
blondish hair, young.
Yeah.
Kulowski, it was like a Polish last name, right?
Yeah, I think, and also remember the HR guy. I'm trying to. He was also very heavy set. That was one of the HR guys.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
You
So
remember
you said he's a member of the committee in Loudoun County or Fauquier?
Doolittle?
Yeah.
Loudon, I believe. That's where I see him. I'll say
Okay.
hi to him next time I see him.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's great. Oh, that's these just are officers. I was looking to see if there's a contact email.
Well, a friend of mine's a friend of his, so I can ask her.
Hey, what do you call? Remind me. That's the board of supervisors, school board. Okay, no, we don't want. Anyways, but also, again, we talked briefly about how Hillary Clinton is going around attacking Republicans, blaming MAGA Republicans for the heat wave right now going on. Can we also blame Democrats for the high crime?
I don't know. Maybe we can't blame him for anything, but that turns Mark Twain's admonition kind of on its head. Remember, he said everybody complains about the weather, but nobody ever does anything about it.
Yeah,
So I guess Hillary and the Dems think someone can do something about it.
that's true.
But no, I don't know. Nothing surprises me. It's like they're so cynical, or they're so they look down so much on people that they think anything can sell, and people think, my God, it's hot. Who should we blame for that? I'll tell you who we can blame. We can blame
China.
people over here. Yeah, Republicans. They're to blame for their hot weather.
Well, actually, here's the thing. China is the worst polluter in the world.
Yeah.
And I don't see why we want to give them a pass, frankly.
No, I don't want to give them a pass at all, but I don't know why we've been giving them a pass on so many things. For example, what they did with COVID in terms of it getting out, in terms of the origin, there's been no responsibility. I don't know why, and the administration is incurious, and the media is incurious. You think they'd want to get to the bottom of how this thing started, but I don't think they care. I'm surprised by that. I thought there'd be more exposés on the virus and the origin of the virus. But
And I think they're really out of touch, frankly.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to. They're just the Democrats in general are. They want to blame someone else for all of their flaws. And it's like when you have kids, it's like I didn't do it. It's like.
Yeah. Well. But it's really surprising because I grew up with a media which was liberal. That's true, but it just seemed that they had more of an interest to try to get it.
Do you remember when Steve Ducey was on Channel 4 doing the feature stories?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the commencement speaker for the class of '87 at my high school.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
And yeah, because I met him then when I went to go take pictures for the yearbook. I went down there.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Like you get to get right down there to get pictures for the yearbook because we did our yearbooks. We did a summer superlative book. It was like 24 pages that you get mailed to you if you're a senior.
Okay.
And pictures from graduation and stuff like that.
All right, good.
But Steve Ducey, and when I saw him in Cleveland, I go, Mr. Ducey, I really loved your commencement speech when you gave it. And he remembered meeting me. He's a heck of a nice guy, Steve Ducey.
Oh, yeah. He's good. And I think Peter Ducey does a good job. His son does a good job.
Yeah, I met his son actually in Cleveland too, which is funny.
Yeah. The only one that really asks tough questions really with the media. They're so bad. It's only
that's true.
Maybe one or two others.
Yeah, you have our what's his name? He's over at Newsmax now. He used to be at Fox.
Okay. Who is that?
I'm trying to think of his name. He's got a book out on Scalia right now. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Okay. It's
But
not Eric Bowling. Eric Bowling or
no, not Eric Bowling. It's what's his name? He used to
Rosen.
be
Rosen.
Rosen. Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Um,
And
yeah.
and
The other thing you had mentioned, I remember wanting to discuss, and I noticed this the other day for the first time when I went onto Twitter. I see this thing called X. So they changed their
yes,
names.
yes,
Their
they
name
do.
is X.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And Elon, if you go to x.com,
Yeah.
you get redirects to your Twitter.
So do we still call it a tweet?
I guess so. Well, actually, now it's because it's not really a tweet because you can actually have long conversations and hours of video,
Oh, okay.
you know, on
Oh,
there. So I don't know. My thoughts are that it's what do you call? It's I'm fine with the name change. I think it's still called Twitter. The
yeah.
name join Twitter doesn't say join X.
Mm, all right.
And my thoughts are, I want to do that. Is that I think that the logo looks kind of cool,
Yeah.
but I think one, in addition to all of that, changing the name is great. Twitter, I think Meta's answer to Twitter, which was Thread.
Yeah.
Not that exciting. I've gone on there. I signed up. I'm on Threads,
Yeah.
but it's like they tie it to your Instagram account. And I used to like Instagram before Facebook bought it. Now it's just commercials.
Yeah.
It's all become overly kind of like as Bart Simpson said at the Grammar Rodeo that he went to in Nashville.
Yeah.
It's become too commercialized. I don't know if you remember that. He went there. He went
What
not
was
Nashville,
it?
Knoxville. It was he went. They went there because Nelson Muntz found a catalog, a flyer about the 1984 World's Fair.
Mm,
That was in Knoxville.
okay.
And Bart got approved for a credit card, so they rented a car
Hmm.
and drove
All
there. But
right.
yeah, and it's looks like there's a bunch of stuff. I mean, Arlington County in your neck of the woods, they're ditching ranked choice voting. I guess it didn't work as well as they planned it to do. The ranked choice voting for Arlington County, because of ranked choice voting, is why Sarah Palin lost in Alaska
Yeah.
for that House seat.
Yeah, the only time I know of doing it, the Republican Party of Virginia has done that or did that once when we nominate in a nomination process.
Yeah, when you nominated Glenn Youngkin.
Yeah, and I liked it myself,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't necessarily mean I think we should do it for general elections. That was
Yeah,
just
see,
nominating.
party elections is one thing,
Yeah,
but doing it for when you vote on the ballot, your first choice, second choice. You got
right.
some misguided Republicans who think it would help Republicans, like in Montgomery County, but it won't because all it is, their second choice is going to just be another Democrat. You know,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
and
so I don't really know the strategy behind it, and I can't really say one way or the other. But I think in the primary, I thought it was good because, heck, it produced the first winning ticket we've had in many, many, many years. So,
yeah,
and I
and
like it was a hybrid. What it was, what our system was, it was sort of a convention, but it wasn't quite a primary. It was like a hybrid because you'd go to different parts of the state that you could vote, and then you'd rank your choices, and then the process would go that way. I thought it
yeah,
went smoothly,
hmm
and I thought it worked fine. But like I said, in terms of a general election, I'm not convinced of it for a general election
hmm
because I don't
and
know all the details of
yeah,
how the strategy behind it. So
and the Fed lending rate has gone up again
yeah,
today, highest in about 22 years. That's how long it's been since the Fed interest rate was 5.5%. Is what it
is
is
that a
now.
surprise to you?
No, not really. It's all the result of Bidenomics. It's all bipartisan Bidenomics.
Yeah, but I thought they were touting inflation coming down. So if inflation comes down, you would think they would. There's no need to keep raising
hmm
interest rates.
Yeah,
But I guess
and
they're
not
still
only
elevated
that.
enough.
hmm And in addition to all of that, we've also got problems with you've got with interest rates going up. Yeah, I don't know if you go to the grocery store, but things are not prices are still pretty high.
Yeah.
You know, and they're
Oh,
still pretty
sorry.
high. Hey, no problem. We got a visitor, special guest.
Sorry.
No
Simba.
problem.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Simba. My friend's cat. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. But we've got you've got all of these craziness that's happening. You've got the price of gas is going up at the pumps. I don't know if you noticed. There's I think it's a Valero gas station, which used to be the cheap Marathon. I'm sorry, it's a Marathon gas station.
Yeah.
Uh, and I got to drive all the way to Wheaton, Maryland for that one.
Yeah. Or
But
maybe it's not worth it, I guess.
no, it used to be worth it because it was like $2.30. So now I was over at the Costco's, which is in Wheaton,
Yeah.
and it was $3.58
Wow. Yeah,
for
it's going up
cash.
here. It's going up here.
Yeah, and we've got on top of that, we got a high gas tax in Maryland.
Right.
Uh, yeah, it's like $3.58 at the Marathon gas station, and you got all the everyone in the media is like, what is it? The Hill today had an article how the economy's just doing fine. The recession's been canceled. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if like it doesn't feel like things are going in the right direction.
No. And
I know.
polls show that. People don't buy
Yeah.
that, but it's I
You
mean,
know.
it's more like limping along, I
Yeah.
mean, in other words, not in recession, but you still have problems.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
But gas is a problem still, and then food prices are a problem.
Hmm.
But it all springs really from gas. When you have high energy prices, you're going to have high other prices.
Yeah. And I think we just avoided the UPS Teamster strike,
Well, that's good.
and I think we have.
Any news on the SAG strike? The
That's
action
still
that
going on. They're going strong. Frankly. I hate to say it, all you writers can be replaced by artificial intelligence can write a script.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I don't know that the possibility of that. I don't know.
Well, they're never. Here's the thing: you still couldn't use them to write full script. Sadly, you still need writers to flush it out. They'll give you a bare bone. It's like if I were to write an article, I'll have Claude or OpenAI or somebody I'll throw something out there, and then I'll have to take that and kind of modify that and make it better,
Yeah,
so to speak.
yeah.
So evidently Vivek Ramaswamy is rising in the polls.
Yeah, that's true.
Why won't he do? But why won't he go on Mark Levin's show though?
I don't
I was
know.
listening to Mark Levin yesterday. Mark was saying how he has been. He wanted to come on. He gave him a date, then he changed the date. And yesterday he goes, "I'm just done with it."
I don't know about Vivek. One thing that makes me somewhat, well, not suspicious, but uh, I just, I wonder if he's really just running to be Trump's VP. Sometimes I don't think he's really going for it, but I
Well,
don't know.
he was the first candidate that started doing commercials after the indictment. The first indictment.
I didn't see him.
It was basically a commercial where he says, in support of President Trump, that's why you notice President Trump has not been attacking him at all.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
know,
for me, it makes me leery of candidates like that. I think if you want to,
yeah,
if you're
yeah. I
committed to
mean, there.
run for it, and the holding back makes me suspicious. That's all. I
Mhm.
like being a Trojan horse or
Yeah,
a straw man.
yeah.
But I
Or
like him. I think he could be good. He's young and all, maybe a little inexperienced, but
I think he should run for governor of Ohio because I know the
yeah,
governor there is term limited.
yeah,
Maybe he'll do that. Maybe he will take this notoriety that he gets and then runs for governor of Ohio.
yeah.
And he's very young. He can come back 4 years, 8 years later and run
Yeah,
for
he's only like
president.
37. He's young.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
But I think who to watch for. I think Nikki
It's fun.
Haley may still get a little burst. In the case of Tim Scott, I'm not so convinced. I don't know that he
It's
quite
funny.
has.
My brother goes, "I don't trust anybody that's younger than me that's running for
Oh
president."
yeah, no,
And
I
I go,
agree.
"You're." I mean, you're 65. There's only a handful of people that are older than.
Yeah. Well, uh,
He's already all in for Donald Trump, for the second coming of Donald Trump.
hmm. Well, and then I saw Mike Pence on TV the other day. I thought he came across fine.
Mike Pence.
I don't think he's that much of a shot, but
I don't know. I think he's my sleeper candidate. And I was thinking, our old boss Paul Wyrick. I think he would be supporting Mike Pence or Tim Scott in
yeah,
this cycle.
yeah. I like Pence. He's got great experience because he's been in the House. He's governor of Indiana, vice
Yeah,
president.
great governor of Indiana. Frankly, great member of the House.
And there's nothing he could do. I mean, in terms of January 6th, I mean, he doesn't have the power to say, all right, forget it. I'm not accepting these.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's really a figurehead. He just has.
If that was the case, Al Gore would have done that in 2000.
That's right. Yeah.
Florida, sorry, I'm not going to accept the results from the Florida election.
Right. So I just think it was unfair to put blame on Pence on that. There's not much he could do. At least my reading of the Constitution, I don't think he could.
Yeah, and and also, by the way, going a little bit back to the heat wave and all that.
Yeah.
EVs are having a hard time holding charges and stuff like that in the heat too.
Yeah.
I never knew that the heat would affect them. I know the cold severely affects them, but evidently they're having issues in the heat as well. A lot of these EVs.
No, I didn't know that. No.
Their range is basically been reduced by 31% in some cases.
Would you, if you could, buy an EV?
I did actually pre-order a Hummer EV when they came out, the SUV.
Okay.
But they kept delaying and delaying. So I was like, I'm done with that. I'll take my deposit back. Frankly.
Yeah. I don't have the money for it, so I guess I really, it's hard for me to say.
Well, China wants to flood the market with their cheap Chinese EVs,
Oh, really? But I just don't think it'd be any good.
It'll be like those LG phones, which is part of LG is a Chinese company.
Yeah.
I believe. And remember those phones used to catch on fire, and they decided, let's put those batteries, make big ones that are just like that, put them in the Chevy Bolt, and that's why they were catching fires.
I remember, yeah. But
and the Chevy Bolt has been retired too. I mean,
yeah. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened there. The Chevy Volt, I remember, but I guess it didn't. They were putting a lot into it. I remember that.
They're coming up with a lot of what do you call it? They've got a whole slew of EVs. That are coming online. You got the Chevy Blazer. They've got the Blazer EV. They got the Silverado EV.
Yeah.
They've got an Equinox EV.
Wow.
And then you've got the Cadillac Lyric. You've got the GMC Hummer and the GMC Sierra, which is also going to be an EV, similar to the Chevy Silverado, same car pretty much,
Yeah, well, I'm glad. Hopefully they work. I just don't know. I mean, I give credit to Elon Musk and the others for making it work. It seems like they've been able to do that. Mm-hmm. And I see more and more Teslas on the road every day.
Yeah. Oh, I see a lot of them. And the ones I can't stand are ones they drive slow in the left lane,
Yeah. They seem like really good-looking cars, I got to tell you.
Yeah. And I mean, Buick's going to have an SUV. You might remember the old Buick Electras.
Okay, I think so.
They were like a land yacht, and then they had a Park Avenue trim level.
Okay, yeah.
Which is their top tier. But they're bringing the Electra nameplate back as an electric SUV.
Very fitting.
Yeah. And I think it's funny how everybody's all excited. I remember when Buick Electras were run on gasoline power,
Yeah. I liked. I hope that it works out. I hope they do.
See, I could never drive an EV to Florida.
No. Yeah, I know. Would you be worried about finding a place to charge?
Yeah, and also not just only. Let's say they do put the network of charging stations. But the fact that it takes me 30 to 45 minutes to get a full charge,
Yeah.
you know, right now I could be in and out of a gas station in 20 minutes tops. That's going in, getting a soda, and getting back in the car.
Oh yeah, and even quicker than that, you should. I would think even do it.
Yeah, I mean, the I'm gonna have to like stop off at a Bucky's where I can get lunch and hang around.
Yeah.
And I don't think Bucky's have EV charging stations right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, all reliable, gas powered.
Yeah. I agree.
I've got a Yukon. I've just pre-ordered 2024 Yukon. Because gas is here to stay.
I think so. For
And yeah,
for a lifetime.
yeah, I know the left wants to take out a bunch. They want to go after a lot of stuff, but like they want to go after natural gas, which they want to eliminate water heaters now.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, it's these people, these are very luxury issues, I think, frankly.
Yeah.
Most people cannot afford to just willy-nilly do a conversion from gas to electric if they got a gas range, because gas rangers, people invest in these gas. Imagine if you had a Viking gas range, and you wanted to, then my county says, hey, you can't have that Viking gas stove. You gotta. And first of all, a Viking, I don't know if you've seen a Viking gas range, it's a 48-inch range.
Mm.
So you got to take that and have that taken out. And then you got to find an electric range. And I think I think they do make an electric range also. Which you could buy that, but that's like a $10,000. Those Viking ranges and gas stoves are, I would say, about $5,000-$6,000. Because I know the Sub-Zero refrigerators, I know for a fact, is about $8,900.
Okay.
Yeah. Viking gas range is $20,000.
Wow.
48 inches, that. And do they make an electric range?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very high cost, expensive replacement, frankly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I know Viking makes some that are $17,000, but $17,000 is still $17,000. It's not. The average American is not going to want to pay that much.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I won't have to cross this dilemma for a bit because I don't have the money for an electric car anyway. So now, hopefully, one day they'll come down in price, and I'll make more money, and I can meet somewhere there to do it. But
well, actually, the Chevrolet Blazer is going to be roughly about $30-some thousand for their EV.
Oh, really? Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's going to be in the 30s. It's not going to be. It's not going to be. It's not the Blazer of like my Blazer. I didn't have a Blazer. I had the GMC Twin, the GMC Envoy.
Yeah.
Which was like the Trailblazer, which was opposed to the 1970s Blazers, was about the size of the old O.J. Simpson Broncos. Yeah.
I remember those.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I have a certain nostalgia for the old American cars and brands.
Oh, yeah.
I remember we used to have a Buick. My grandmother had a Buick. We had a Pinto when I was a little kid.
Really? Was the Buick on Park Avenue or was it the Sabre?
I think the Sabre.
Yeah.
And we had Chevys. The problem is when I was coming up, the Chevys were so bad. Now they've improved. But we stopped buying Chevys, started with Toyota, and we're buying Toyotas for years.
See, I learned to drive on a Chevrolet Malibu.
Okay, yeah, that's an old line. That's one of the oldest lines of the Chevys. They still keep that. They still have a Chevy.
Yeah, they still have the nameplate, and I had a '76 Chevy Malibu that I learned to drive on.
Okay, good.
It was a big car. It was a mid-size, classified as mid-size, but it's about the size of. It's bigger than a full-size car today.
Yeah, you remember the Granada, the Ford Granada? My father.
I do remember the Ford Granada. They built it as the more affordable Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah. My mother said, I asked about all the cars we had when I was a kid, and that was her favorite car. Was that Ford Granada? Yeah, she liked it.
See, I thought Ford back then, they were very boxy. Their cars were very boxy. It wasn't until the Ford Taurus and the Ford Crown Victoria,
Yeah.
that they were, because they all used to be very. Chrysler was like that too, and actually General Motors to an extent was like that as well.
Yeah, remember the Chrysler K car? My father had a
Yeah,
K car. That was the Itoka's big car to come back on. They came back with it.
well, they used the K car platform for the minivans,
All right.
as well as it's kind of like what is it? There's a guy on YouTube who's saying, Lee Iacocca took over Chrysler. He was kind of like Taco Bell. Chrysler was like Taco Bell. They had three ingredients, and he needed to make a whole bunch of new cars on that same platform.
All right.
And and I want to say even the Diplomats were on just a variant of the K platform, the Dodge Diplomats,
Yeah.
and the Chrysler Fury, but those were the good old days,
Yeah, and I would look at, now I'm not in the market for a car, but if I were, I would look at Chevrolet again. Now I would, because they've gotten a lot better. And I like the Malibu. I think the Chevy Malibu is good. I don't know if they're going to make that electric, but I like that.
I don't know, but I know they stopped making the Malibu. I think it's been discontinued. This month,
Have they
last
stopped?
year. Yeah,
Really?
they've got Chevrolet has pretty much. It's going to be all SUVs. You got the Suburban, you got the Tahoe, you've got the Blazer, you've got the Trailblazer, which is smaller than the Blazer.
And that
You got
Traverse,
the Equinox,
the Traverse, the Equinox.
yeah, Traverse, yeah, and that's pretty much it. I would say they got. I think the Malibu is done this year. They got rid of the Impala nameplate too, which is a very old.
I know.
Too.
Well, I'm sorry. I like sedans myself. I prefer sedans.
Yeah,
I've always been a sedan guy.
yeah, and yep, it is. If you go to the Chevrolet website, they do not have that on there
because those were made in America.
Yes.
Well, that's
well, I mean, all of them are pretty much. There's Yukons and Tahoes are made in Texas.
All right. Yeah.
Cadillacs are made in Texas, but we're at final thoughts, Dave. It's you go. You take the lead on final thoughts.
All right. Well, final thought. I'm looking forward to coming up to Maryland and seeing you and pushing the book, and that'll be fun.
At the Mama Lucia's and Only next Thursday at 6:30.
Great. I look forward to it, and it'll be fun. And then, like I said, I was in Rappahannock last night. It went great. Good people there. A little bit of a drive, but not too bad. And all else is well. I'm recovering from my poison ivy bout. Like I said, it was $200 to get one steroid shot, and I don't think it did much good. But anyway.
Oh, really? Oh.
That's why I didn't go back for another. But my insurance company, believe it or not, might still pay for it, even though, obviously it went to urgent care and it wasn't pre-approved. But anyway, no, doing well. Hope the weekend's okay and not too hot. And those are, I guess, my final thoughts. And then politically, the final thought is, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens in terms of whether Trump's indicted again next week. I think they're just going to keep piling on, but I don't think it's going to really hurt them that much.
All it does is help them raise more money.
Yeah, and sucks the energy away from everybody else who's running.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Trump
enhances the feeling that the Justice Department is being unfair.
Oh yeah, I mean it is. I mean, let me tell you, this is the AG's revenge for not getting to get to the Supreme Court. Merrick Garland, this is Garland's revenge,
Yeah.
And he's using every lever of DOJ to go after Republicans.
Well, I'm glad we kept him off the court.
Yes, I am too. Thank you, Mitch McConnell, for that.
Well, that's right.
But I think you should retire back to your old Kentucky home, though.
Yeah, he should retire.
Remember,
that's it.
He forced Jim Bunning into retirement, remember?
I guess so. That's right. Yeah, Jim Bunning passed away, but he was something, Jim Bunning.
He was a Hall of Fame pitcher for the Phillies.
Yeah, that's right. And they say that, Jim Bunning, he didn't go to Washington to make friends. I mean, he went there. He was there for his issues. And, I don't think he was Mr. Nice Guy.
I might even have a Jim Bunning baseball somewhere around.
Well, I'll tell you, when Bunning was around, that would mean our Republican caucus baseball team would be awesome.
Yeah. And it's like, I remember Wayne Gilchrist. He beat what's his name? Former basketball player who represented the Eastern Shore of Maryland. I'm trying to think of the guy's name.
Oh, McMillan?
Yeah,
Oh, McMillan? Yeah.
yeah. And he goes, I defeated him, and he goes, I did that to basically help the Republicans basketball team.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, Wayne Gilchrist was big. He's a Democrat now.
Yeah, he is. I guess he's still with us. I remember when he first won, and I mean, he was always the moderate Democrat. I didn't know he would, become a lefty like he has.
Oh yeah, he basically him, Connie Morella,
Did Connie? I know. Didn't Matthias become a Democrat? Mac
No,
Matthias?
Matthias was a Republican. He was very,
All right.
very, very liberal Republican, but he wasn't a bad guy, frankly.
Yeah.
But Connie Morella, I mean, she basically did not support Trump.
All right.
She didn't vote for impeachment of Bill Clinton.
Okay, that's right. I do remember that. Yeah.
Connie
But that
didn't.
didn't save her. She still lost her seat.
I know she didn't. She didn't support. The other thing she did not support was the Bush tax cut.
I always thought of Connie Morella as someone who was probably deep down, probably pretty darn conservative, but she was in Montgomery County, so she had to
She
balance
used to
the
be
two.
a Democrat.
Oh, did she? Okay, well, see, I'm
She
wrong.
was in the State House, okay, representing District 16, which is Bethesda.
Okay.
She may have been your mom's. She may have been in the State House when your mom was a
A girl
teenager
there,
in
maybe.
Bethesda. Yeah,
Wow.
but she became a Republican because she knew she couldn't win the Democrat primary.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. The only reason I assume she might be conservative is she had a big Catholic and a big family, and so I almost assume maybe she.
Yeah, she adopted her. That is, I mean, politically, as an individual, she's actually a very nice person. I still see her at Women's Club's event.
Okay.
If you want to come, the Chevy Chase Women's Republican Club has their big fundraiser Saturday, the 24th, at the Kenwood Country Club.
Okay.
And Mercedes Schlapp is going to be speaking, but Connie usually comes to that.
I think I saw something about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And
but I guess Connie's still in the area then. I guess that's
she lives down the street from my friend Nahid. Her husband Tony passed away recently.
Oh,
I used to get Christmas cards from Connie all the time when she was in Congress.
Yeah.
Because I actually worked on her campaign for a little while in 88, actually, when I was saying 88.
Okay.
So, yeah. But any other thoughts? Final thoughts?
No, that's it for me. Thanks.
Okay, let me start with my first one. The biggest news. The brand new NASA website is in beta. Check it out, everyone. beta.nasa.gov. This is the new, modern, sleek website. It's beautiful. It's got a lot of cool elements, and this is like taking like a bunch of different Drupal sites and combining them into one gigantic mega site. Look at this. Look at all the images we have. You got here. You got more pictures than you can shake a stick at.
Wow.
Yeah. This is a great. I am so happy. There's a point where I thought, are we going to ever see this thing go to beta? But it is in beta, and we'll be live shortly. And you can leave your comments right here. Go there, beta.nasa.gov. But we've got that, and let's see. Other final thoughts is come to Peace and Politics next Thursday. Our friend David here will be talking his book, and he's going to read some copies, and he'll be signing some of the books for people.
Yeah, and I'll give you a great break on the price, and I think you'll love it. So I look forward to seeing you. Please come out.
Yeah. And we've got the other big event I want to share with people is this year marks 20 years since Governor Ehrlich was elected governor of the great state of Maryland. In the state of Maryland, we are doing a great big salute to Governor Ehrlich. And buy your tickets before August 16th. That's our early bird rate. This beautiful downtown Annapolis.
Mm-hmm.
And here it is. It's going to be at the BWI. We had to go to a bigger venue because there's so many people interested in this. It's on October 12th. The early bird special ends August 16th. So all of these prices will go up on August 17th. So If you want to do a table is only $900 right now. You could get a ticket for $100, a VIP ticket for $200. And if you want to be a sponsor, we've got a lot of sponsorship opportunities right here. And we're doing a very different type of program book. It's going to be more like a yearbook with boosters and ads, like similar to your old high school yearbook. So it's going to be a keepsake. It's not going to be like, you go to these dinners, the programs are all sitting there on the tables, but these are something people will take home with them. Great event. Buy your tickets today. And show the governor some love. The governor went out and supported every candidate that was running last cycle and the previous cycle, frankly. Support Governor Ehrlich. Come on out and buy a ticket. And that's about it for my final thoughts. Good night, everyone.